Hello guys, today we will be making two easy but fun projects. Both of them can be worn as pendants. First one is this little bird, and here's the more sinister but still love-related heart. I will show you how to sketch them out straight on wood, however you can also download the patterns using the link in the description. You can cut them out and then use them to draw an outline, which is a nice and convenient option. You can virtually use any wood you have available, but if you want to make some jewelry, I would suggest some harder wood, like black walnut, mahogany, paduk, oak or whatever else you have in your region. But of course you can also use basswood if that's all you have, or pine for example. I'm going to use cherry wood for the first project and oak for the second. Check out video description for their sizes. Let's go! I'm going to turn this piece of cherry into a little bird pendant. You can use different dimensions. If you get the general idea, you can make it any size you want. However, I will leave the size of my piece of wood in the video description. Right now I'm marking 3 cm for my project from the top, or approximately 1 inch and 3/16. And then our project is going to be separated into two parts, the heart and the bird. I make the bird slightly bigger than the heart. Draw a central line, it will help you to keep your work symmetrical, at least to some extent. It doesn't have to be perfect, but it will allow you to stay on track. After that, I make my best impression of a heart. It's much easier with the central line. Now let's draw a bird. I use these 3 points to help me out, on the right, on the left, and one on top for the head. Now let's connect them. Follow me and draw your own little bird too. As you can see, we are not using the whole piece of the wood. The rest is a sort of a handle. This way it will be easier for you to carve. Later we will separate our project from the handle, but for now it will be your helper. So hold your project in your non-dominant hand and let's carve around our outline. I'm using a mixture of cuts, V-cuts when I'm digging right into the wood in the shape of the letter V. Use small cuts and make sure your hands are not in the way of your blade. The smaller the cuts, the less likely you are to cut yourself. And if you're a beginner, use a lot of push cuts. This is when you carve away from yourself, pushing the blade with your thumb. This is the safest way to carve. Here I'm using small, almost delicate cuts. Keep your carving 3-dimensional, make sure you cut along the width of your project, all the way to the back. On top of the bird, I can make a sweeping motion with my wrist in order to create a curve on the back between the head and the tail. Make sure your thumb is firmly hidden behind a piece of wood. You can do the same in the beak area, but the surface is smaller here, so go slowly with short movements. And just like that, I carved around the outline. The next thing I do is drawing a central line on the side all the way around the carving. And then I take my knife and with the very tip make a slicing cut, following the line of the heart. Hold your work firmly and use your thumb for stability. Don't apply too much pressure with your knife so that it doesn't accidentally slip with a great force. After that, undercut your line from the side of the bird. This way we will separate both parts of your project. Now we need to mirror the same thing at the back. Let's draw the heart and then do the slicing cut too, repeating all the previous steps. Don't rush, go slowly, and make sure that your knife is really sharp. Don't forget to strop it, even though sometimes it might be really tedious. The tail and the head should be narrower than the body. I am marking the place for the beak and all the rest can go. You can use a lot of push cuts, carving away from yourself and getting rid of all that extra wood. Last touches of the stage, and this is what our carving looks like from all sides. Still a bit bulky at this point, but this is not the end. We will move on to carving a beak next. To do that, I will make a sweeping motion with my knife, going slightly up the blade at the end. This way I will define the beak and make it distinguishable. For now, the beak is quite wide, a little bit like a duck's beak, so we will make it narrower from the sides. The beak should taper to the end, but be careful, the grain is very fragile here, so use just the tip of your knife and very small cuts. And again, your knife should be really sharp. So it should look something like this, and then you can make it smaller from below. It's up to you how minute you want to make it, although I would say it's very important to know when to stop. If you're afraid of breaking it, then you can make it thicker. Last finishing touches, make sure everything is rounded and there are no sharp angles or edges on your bird. This is what it looks like now, all cute and cuddly. Now we just need to do the heart, remove the sharp edges too and make it narrower at the bottom. Be careful here as your knife will be closer to your hand. Go slowly. I know I say that a lot, but it's just that it's so easy to get carried away and to stop paying attention. Here it is. You could leave it with a knife finish, I quite like it this way, but I will sand it this time and make it nice and smooth, while it's still attached to the handle. Before we separate them, let's also show the wings and the eyes. They are very simple, just a curved line on the side, followed by the slicing cut of your knife. After that, undercut it from the bottom, giving some definition to the wing, just to show that it's there and it has some thickness. You can clean up under the wing as well, removing all extra flakiness and fluff. Maybe use some sandpaper again. The last feature of the bird, the eyes. Let's draw small circles with a pencil, trying to make them level. Then follow the circles with a knife. And you could just hollow out the inside, but I prefer to leave the center, this way it will look a bit nicer. Take some wood off around the center of the eye. I know it's quite a delicate task, but the result is usually satisfying. After the eyes, the very last thing that is left to do is to separate our carving from the handle. As an option, you could leave it just like that, it would be a nice little figurine to place on a bookshelf. But today we have other plans. Let's carve from the front and the back, getting closer to the bottom tip of the heart. Then I carve from the sides too. I kind of carve under the angle, this way naturally creating the missing tip. As you can see, our heart is kind of sinking in wood for now, but we are going to extract it. I keep carving without dwelling on one side too much, rotating the project around, undercutting it slowly but surely, until the tip becomes really thin, and then I just snap it with a very satisfying sound. Now I just need to tidy it up a bit, maybe sand it again. And that's it, enough with carving. If you carved it out of basswood, you can paint it. If it was any other harder wood, then you can oil it. I'm going to use raw linseed oil. I just put a few drops on a piece of cloth and then wipe my bird with it. Now you could have it as some sort of a pocket keepsake, but we can also make a piece of jewelry. I'm going to mark a place for our eye screw. Then I will prepare space for it with a needle or awl tool. Depending on the wood, you can start screwing it in with your fingers, or use some pliers. Place it on a piece of rope or cord and voila, it's ready to wear. Give it to your Valentine or your friend, or wear it yourself. I hope you liked this project and you had some fun. For this project I'm using a small piece of oak wood. It's better to have grain running horizontally, this way your project will be stronger. Draw a central line to help you out with the symmetry. Use it to draw a heart. This heart doesn't need a bird, it has wings of its own, nice bat wings. I think this is a cool gift for some gothic or horror lovers. Draw one wing and then mirror your drawing, trying to repeat it on the other side. It might be hard to preserve symmetry, so you can use a ruler to measure the distance, or simply download a pattern in the video description. I go over the pencil lines with a pen and then start carving, first of all removing all the wood around the heart. If you have a bandsaw, of course use that, or just spend some time doing it by knife while listening to your favorite podcast. After that, define the wings so that they are a bit lower than the heart in thickness. Do the stop cut and then carve towards it. All the usual precautions apply. Make sure your knife is sharp so that you don't apply too much pressure. Do small and careful cuts, controlling your knife at all times. Carve some wood off the rest of the wing. You can use a lot of push cuts here, carving away from yourself, so that the wing becomes thinner and the heart puffier as a result. Just like this. And now let's do the same on the other side. If you're using oak, you will find it rather hard, but in my opinion it has beautiful structure and the grain. But go slowly when carving, oak doesn't like when you hurry. Alright, now let's carve a bit on the other side. This way the back of your project won't look flat and boring. It should curl slightly inwards. Also, it's a good way to remove some extra wood, making our wings thinner. Don't make them too thin though, because even hard oak can be broken. Do the same thing at the back as we did at the front. Draw the lines and make the heart puffier, kind of adding the separation from the wings. Work on the heart itself. It shouldn't be so thick at the bottom. Make it taper downwards instead. Also, remove the sharp edges around the heart. It should be nice and round and be prepared to love. Go around the whole outline, smoothing it out. This is what it looks like. Now draw the partitions on the wing. They all go from one single point. And then with a knife define these partitions. Make them curvy with a dip in the middle. Do the same on the other side. And it's almost ready. Again, you could leave it like that, but I'm going to take a piece of sandpaper and make it smooth. And now some magic. After all, it's a gothic, creepy heart. It all starts with tea. I use it to heighten the effect of tannin in wood. And then I will use my ebonizing solution. It's murky and nasty, but it works. It turns wood black immediately, in front of your eyes. Not every type of wood will react like that. The best in my experience were cherry and oak. Here it is, looking even more sinister now. I take some oil, cover the heart with it and leave it for a bit to saturate the wood. And then it's a standard procedure of turning it into a pendant. I mark the place for the eye screw, place it in and add a piece of cord. That's it, you can wear it now. Thank you for watching and don't forget to share your work with me.